Hello and welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy the story. This was written by a real human. So please leave a like if you enjoy it to help the channel and subscribe for future content. It's free. Links to the story and Patreon will be in the description. Please go and support the author. Any support is always appreciated. If a human narrator would like to narrate my stories, please contact me. I write these in my spare time between work and my children and just don't have the time or quiet space to narrate them myself. I hope you can understand. Thanks for your time, and again I hope you enjoy the story. And for the love of everything YouTube, this is literature, so please leave my channel alone. Let's get into it, folks. Cats at the Cradle Part 4. Barbara stared blankly at the screen. She had just finished a call with her supervisor, who had informed her that she was effectively on paid leave for the duration of her remaining 2-cycle contract, about 6 months. She had already received a notification that her debts, while minor, had been paid off. The email had been flashing urgent on her communicator when she had woken up. Her Galnet bank account had been loaded with the entirety of her contract with Sol FTL funds, all of it including the 20% she had already been paid. Only a few moments later she had just finished washing her face and trying to fully wake up when another alert had posted. Another large sum had been deposited, and then her room's monitor had pinged. That had been her supervisor again informing her that she had been approved for a salvage and reclamation permit under Section 21137A, and she had spaced the rest. She had listened to it, but after the spiral of numbers she had been lost trying to catch up. She hadn't filed for anything like an S&R permit. That is until her supervisor brought her back to the here and now by saying, "Congratulations, Miss Thornton," and vanished, replaced with the traditional Sol Alliance insignia slowly spinning on a white and blue screen. "What the hell am I supposed to do now?" she asked the empty room, shaking her head in disbelief at the recent events. She absently turned to look at her communicator, which had just buzzed on her bunk. 2 steps and she had it. The tag on the call read, "Dad," and with a grimace she mentally prepared herself for the inevitable. She quickly composed herself, silently thanking her nanites for healing most of her wounds from the day prior. A bruise, and small at that, was the only visible sign she had even gotten hurt. With a smile she pressed the green "Take Call" next to her father's wizened, wrinkly face. "Hey Dad, how's Mom and everyone else doing?" she asked as the screen flashed to a live feed of him at his antique mahogany desk. The thing had cost her thrice-removed grandfather a literal fortune to get shipped to Mars. "Oh, you know your mom's worried sick. You didn't call or anything. Have you seen the news feed?" When she shook her head, "No," he continued, "your picture has been posted along with your service record in the military," scrolling down one side of the viewing screen. She let out a sigh only because she knew both her parents were prone to exaggerating the situation. Besides, she had served her mandatory 6 years in the United Sol Alliance Navy's ODTS and had even distinguished herself during the Omega crisis. Her dad's voice brought her back to the present as he continued. "The media are calling you both a savior and a criminal. The government hasn't said anything except, the president will release a statement in due time. Rest assured our citizens are safe." He finally stopped, and seeing the concern on his weathered, caring face she smiled to reassure him. "I really am fine, Dad. Really. I can't say much more than that." I know. She put her hand up as if to block something. "I need to visit more often. How about I pop in when I get to Mars Station Hub?" "Are you sure?" he asked her even as she was beginning to nod. He continued, "Okay, I'll tell your mom to expect you?" She let the question linger for a moment before she replied, "3 days. I think we should be in orbit by then." Barbara answered, "Good. Your mother is worried sick about you, Barbara. Those news drones can't get very close to the station you were on, but the debris field is quite large. I can't wait to hear that story." He gave her his usual wry grin. "Whatever happened, I'm glad to see you all right. I'll tell your mom to expect a visit in a few days. Give your oil man a call and I'll be there to pick you up from the rail station in town. You're not going to recognize the place without the dome." He gave her his usual loving smile, his gray-blue eyes both caring and mischievous. "That'll give me a reason to spool up the old sled and take her for a spin. And your mom won't even try to stop me." He winked, and then his face became serious again. "We love you, Barbara. You take care of yourself." His smiling face disappeared, replaced by the same blue and white screen with the Sol Alliance insignia slowly rotating. She had barely had time to comb her hair and braid it. She normally didn't, but since she was on a Navy ship she would follow proper protocol even though she was technically a civilian now. Warning klaxons wailed as the standardized "Warning! Proximity alert! Unidentified hostile ship detected." It repeated this every few seconds until someone on the bridge finally shut it off. As soon as the alarm shut down, she immediately rushed to the outermost mess hall where a plasteel viewport would be located so she could see what was happening. She was just in time to see 4 Silver Sol Marine Corps boarding shuttles disable and board the much larger spider-like ship. The Marines had attached 3 of the 4 boarding shuttles at random over the spider-like ship's hull, and if she had to make an educated guess, probably cut their way in with plasma cutters. All standard practices, or was while she had still been in the Navy. It took nearly an hour before she could see a blue and white Alliance military tug fly into range and begin tractoring the large black alien ship with 3 of the 4 shuttles still firmly attached. It slowly but surely began to move them towards the Phoenix and Titan 7 with the still undocked Marine Corps shuttle following close behind, weapons visibly trained on the alien ship, even at this distance. Well, that's different. I don't remember seeing that ship exit the gate, she said to herself as she walked over to the breakfast line and went back to her quarters to eat her food in peace. Before long she could feel the ship moving again. Captain Gregory had personally debriefed her as soon as she was on his ship, had quarters assigned to her, and requested her presence on the command bridge as soon as she had rested and eaten something. Which was why she found herself trying not to stare at what she could only describe as a humanoid cat. Well, except she didn't have a tail. Still, Barbara thought it was a damn cat person. "Ah, Captain Thornton, right on time?" announced Captain Gregory as he noticed she had walked onto his bridge. "Sergeant, sir," she corrected politely. He let out a slight chuckle before standing and casually striding towards her, his hands clasped behind him. He stopped not 6 feet away from her and as he did, saluted her. She snapped to, glad after years of not using it in her civilian role her salute was crisp and clean. She heard others around the bridge standing and saluting too. As she stood there she could see the corner of his mouth turn upwards in a slight smirk. Then she heard a gravely voice, deep and sounding more like 2 boulders grinding together than anything else she could think of. "Of course, Sergeant Thornton. Well then, let me be the first to inform you of your impromptu promotion. Congratulations, Captain Thornton." She finally got a look at the man speaking. He was only maybe 5 feet tall and that was being generous. He also looked very stocky, so definitely a heavy gravworlder, probably a colony on Proxima Centauri itself, and he had the stripes of a rear admiral. Her eyes reflexively snapped to his silver cross sword and spear denoting he was from the ODT, the very same battle group she had been assigned to. Shit. That was all she could think. Like a recruit caught fucking off by the drill instructor back at the academy. She composed herself before replying. Thanks, Soraya." She finally grasped one of the 100 or so thoughts racing through her mind. "But I'm just a civilian now, so sergeant is more than is needed." "Sir, well at least that one would get her out of any press gang tactics the Navy might try to play." She had heard of worse tactics being used though she had never really believed it herself. "My name is Rear Admiral Zong," he said now standing in front of her. Even being much shorter than her, he seemed to somehow give her the impression he was looming over everyone else on the command bridge with his sheer presence. He held out his hand and Captain Gregory gave him a folded piece of paper, which he unfolded with the practiced ease of someone accustomed to receiving hard copy notes. He cleared his throat as he began to read. "President Allen of the United Sol Alliance hereby gifts the newly salvaged USS Refuge to Sergeant Thornton as per Article 719E, subsection 42, paragraph 3. As the sole officer on duty responsible for Gate B-111 when the said vessel was abandoned, you are now the owner of 1 Regent-class hull. Under subsection 57, paragraph 4 of the same article of salvage, you are automatically promoted to the rank of captain, and if you so choose to serve in the U.S. Navy again, I can speak for the Centauri Battle Group, if not all of Fleet Command, when I say it would be an honor to again serve alongside such a distinguished officer." He paused, looking into her eyes as he reached up and pinned a gold button with the relief of an eagle with 2 crossed anchors, before stepping back and giving her a salute. She could tell his offer was sincere, but for some reason his crooked smile as he dropped his salute made her feel like the other shoe hadn't dropped yet. He held out his hand and she shook it, his grip was strong and his palms were sweaty. That was never a good sign from an admiral of any stripe. "Please follow me, Captain Gregory has agreed to let us use his office." As she turned to follow him she heard a soft round of applause being given as they walked. It continued until they were in Captain Gregory's office and the door had slid closed. 2 other officers entered with them and Admiral Zong motioned for everyone to have a seat. Captain Gregory took a seat next to the Admiral and Barbara sat on the other side, the other 2 officers taking a seat on either side of her. "Now then, I know this is a bit of a surprise, Captain Thornton, But seeing as things are moving at a much faster pace than expected with the Orion refugees and the subsequent capture of the Broodling swarm ship, the President in his capacity as the figurehead of our great alliance is effectively being hamstrung by the Senate over the new foreign affairs policy we have been operating under technically without the Senate's approval since the Orion's arrival. He paused to let her absorb the situation. So instead of waiting months to get anything done, he's used some executive privileges. Admiral Zhang said. Regardless of whether or not you decide to rejoin the Navy, your new ship contains tech that is of great value to our R&D department. He motioned to each of the officers on either side of her and continued, Captain Thornton, please meet your new Command Master Chief Dylan Boutan and Command Master Engineer Erica Lufay. She nodded to each in turn and shook their hands as he introduced them. That's great and all, but why am I being briefed like I'm about to receive an important mission? Barbara asked. She kept wanting to pinch herself to make sure this wasn't some surreal dream. She had hit her head pretty hard on that console. The Admiral didn't even blink or hesitate. Because you are Captain Thornton. He paused, nodding to Captain Gregory, who pushed at his communicator a few times and then swiped, and a virtual blueprint was stationary in the middle of the table. It was the complete diagram of one of the Orion vessels, the Regent's Pride, she noted. It was now tagged as the USS Refuge at 480 meters long and 200 meters at its widest, with 4 massive engines rated as roughly equivalent to a US-built counterpart. It was slightly longer and she sported almost double the energy weapons batteries but only a quarter of her US counterpart's number of missile tubes and storage capacity. However, it looked like her ECM capabilities and targeting computers at least were noted as being much better than her US counterparts. And what the hell was a spinal-mounted Gauss cannon? The thing took up 3 weapons batteries itself and had 2 more on standby in case one of them failed during combat. Typical built-in Navy redundancy. How the hell do you expect us to operate that? She found herself asking. She noticed both Dylan and Erica were staring just as intently as she was. They hadn't been privy to the information before this briefing. And the big-ass hole midship was disheartening, to say the least. You'll have some help. You see, our Orion refugees have made a deal, or at least they're military types. They will do most of the operating, until we can get some US Alliance species trained up on the ship systems. That is, unless you decide to keep our Orion refugees employed after this political mess is sorted out. To facilitate this, Orion Admiral Valmub has ordered all Orion military personnel to join the Sol military. This is to show that they are willing to join the US Alliance. As such, your second in command will be. He paused for a moment before continuing. I don't know what a junior claw as rank means, but she was designated the best candidate by our AI and was highly recommended by Admiral Valmub to be your new executive officer. Hadara of the Flowstone clan. And before you ask, I have no idea. Our Sapient Resource Division is burning the candle at both ends trying to compile a complete social and cultural overview of the Orions. He looked at each of them in turn and sighed. Let's just try not to cause any blood feuds or misunderstandings that can't be easily resolved. He raised his communicator and said, Please send an XO Hadara. The door slid open and the cat person walked in, saluted somewhat awkwardly, and then Barbara could see her spine stiffen and she finally committed to it fully. Junior Claw Hadara reporting for duty, Second Fong. She said while looking at Admiral Zhang. Barbara could tell she was nervous. Hell, who wouldn't be in the same situation these people found themselves in? It's just Admiral. He gently corrected. And your rank in US terms is an executive officer, or XO for short. We have not been briefed on your culture, XO, so forgive us for any oversight we may have in our normal routines until we can figure any cultural quirks between our species out. Your captain and her other officers are being briefed currently. Please join us. He gestured to a chair and Barbara watched her carefully sit next to Dylan, who offered her a friendly smile. Thanks for listening. Please leave a like and hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed the story. If you feel generous and want to support the author's work, go visit the Patreon link in the description. Any support is welcome. Until next time.